we can turn our attention to the second type of BS we wanted to discuss in the work of G.A. Cohen. G.A. Cohen describes what he says is a distinct type of BS in his essay, Complete Bullshit. Cohen begins his essay with a mild criticism of Frankfurt's article. Namely, he disputes Frankfurt's claim to have identified the essence of BS, arguing that Frankfurt has not identified its essence, but rather only one flower in the lush garden of bullshit. In other words, Frankfurt has given us a keen analysis of what one type of BS, not the essence of BS itself. And Cohen wants to build on Frankfurt's work by identifying another flower in that same lush garden. To capture the difference between the BS that interests him and the kind that interests Frankfurt, Cohen looks to the definition of BS in the Oxford English Dictionary. If you consult that entry, you will find the following two definitions. The first definition, as you see, is as a noun, rubbish, nonsense. And the second definition is a transitive and intransitive verb, to talk nonsense. According to Cohen, Frankfurt BS is essentially covered by the second definition in the OED, whereas what the BS that interests him, or Cohen BS, is covered in definition 1. Frankfurt offers an activity-centered definition of bullshit. The bowl, conceptually speaking, wears the trousers. Bullshit is bullshit because it was produced by a bullshitter. So Frankfurt BS is something that you do, whereas Cohen defines bullshit without reference to the bullshit producer's state of mind. The defect of this bullshit, he tells us, does not derive from its provenance. Here, the shit wears the trousers. Cohen BS is not a state of mind, but a product. It's a noun, in other words. So Cohen BS has nothing to do with your intentions. You can try to produce Cohen BS and fail. And you can aim for the truth and produce Cohen BS by accident. So what does Cohen BS look like? Cohen tells us that it is discourse that is by nature unclarifiable. That is, it is discourse that is not only obscure, but which cannot be rendered unobscure. It is discourse where any apparent success in rendering it unobscure creates something that isn't recognizable as a version of what was said. Cohen doesn't define this kind of unclarity for us, but he does offer us a sufficient condition, or a kind of criterion for recognizing it. Discourse is unclarifiably unclear, he tells us, when adding or subtracting a negation sign from a text makes no difference to its level of plausibility. What does this mean? Basically, it means that if you insert a not in a sentence that is Cohen BS, it will have no impact on how the reader reacts to the sentence. Now imagine trying to do this with an ordinary sentence. Let's just take an ordinary sentence. Sam is a man. Now add a not to that sentence. Sam is not a man. Notice that this drastically changes the meaning of the sentence and the way that you react to it as a listener. And that's the way it should be. But when a sentence is Cohen BS, the addition of a not won't meaningfully affect your experience of the sentence. So let's look at another example. This might be a candidate for Cohen BS. Here's a sentence without the not. The move from a structuralist account, in which capital is understood to structure social relations in relatively homologous ways, to a view of hegemony in which power relations are subject to repetition, convergence, and rearticulation, brought the question of temporality into the thinking of structure. Now let's use Cohen's test. Let's see if we can detect whether or not this is Cohen BS. The move from a structuralist account, in which capital is understood to structure social relations in relatively homologous ways, to a view of hegemony in which power relations are subject to repetition, convergence, and rearticulation, did not bring the question of temporality into the thinking of structure. Now, did that meaningfully change the way the sentence affects you, adding the not? If it didn't, then there's a good chance that it's Cohen BS. I'm not going to say one way or another. I'll leave that to you. Okay, from here I think we should just move on to a summary of what we've covered thus far. BS is a primary enemy of the truth. Critical reasoning is a stance against BS. Frankfurt BS stems from a lack of concern with the truth. Students tend to generate it when they have to write about something they haven't adequately researched. Cohen BS, on the other hand, is not a mental state. It's about the product. You can produce it intentionally or by accident. And this product is writing that is unclarifiably unclear. And you know that a piece of writing is unclarifiably unclear if by adding a not to the sentence, you don't change or affect its meaning.